In any case,
Wow.
Vander, welcome.
Hello.
Congratulations, another victory on the books for H2K, and I know it's Selfie in the ranks. Tell me, how has it been going now before the game? Of course, we analyzed last week that he had some deaths in lane that might have been unwanted. How did you kind of prepare him going into this next week?
I mean, we just try to play with him like we play with Ryu, which sometimes doesn't work out because Ryu is a bit more self-sufficient. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah,
We don't need to help Ryu that much. He knows how to make advantages on his own, right? And now we play with Selfie. It's a bit different. We try to help him a bit more, and yeah, we just put him on comfort pick today, which is Corki. He's a really strong mid laner, and we were sure he can perform well on this champ.
You say needing a bit more help. We actually have a couple of replays of the early game where Jankos, who we know is generally quite aggressive, but here he went overboard a little bit. The first Blood King. Walk us through this one. Is this also a result of trying to help out Selfie too much?
I mean, just Corki said that Ari is really low and we can dive her, and it was a really good attempt to dive, but it was just unlucky a bit, I guess. Didn't work out. I didn't see it. I just knew that Graves is on my lane, so I was running away, you know, and then I see my jungler dying.
Second attempt though from Jankos to invade also goes wrong.
Yeah, a bit too fast. I mean, he just wanted to change the form and repel the charm, but he was a bit too slow. And still, even though he died, we got the bot tower from it because Lucian stayed and he could push and poke Ezreal, which was fine for us, I guess.
I mean, this game is like win game or win lane, win game basically for you guys. Lucian coming in. In your opinion, is it a mistake by Splyce to keep Lucian for you guys in the second rotation?
I mean, I was sure they're gonna pick Lucian first rotation. Right. We're surprised they picked Graves and something. I don't remember.
Poppy, I think.
Yeah,
Poppy, yeah, which both are really strong, but yeah, well, I expected them to pick Poppy and Lucian, which like Graves is still also like a really strong jungler, so it's not a big mistake, but I think in this matchup, probably picking up Lucian would be better for them.
Well, in any case, after what happened in the early game, it came back in your favor. It might have been a little bit Splyce gifting it back. We have another replay of that, and Jankos redeeming himself, as it were. Let's take a look at this.
Also, Selfie with the package.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see how Selfie is looking more confident now. Like, he's actually part of plays together with Jankos. He's jumping in and out. This obviously is because you had a week now to practice with him, I assume. Do you feel a big change in the way he's playing now compared to last week?
I mean, yeah, he's definitely more comfortable and he knows what to expect from us and how he should play, right? Because his previous teams were much different, where he were playing more aggressive and we are doing a bit more on side lanes. So he has to just play a bit more careful, right? He doesn't get as much help as some other mid laners in the LCS. And from those replays we can see how much mid pressure can give to your team. We can just invade whenever we want their blue jungle, and when Jankos dies, we still can get something on the map.
And I think I want to talk a little bit about your playstyle as a team. You tend to be very fast at moving around the map. When it comes to Selfie last week, we saw there was a little bit of miscommunication, perhaps. He died right before you guys took the Baron.
Oh.
Is that something you guys are still working on when it's like we need Selfie to be on exactly the same page with these map movements? Is that something Prolly's working on?
I guess he wanted to make some highlight play, 1v3, but I mean, we wanted to do Nash, and he just wanted to poke them before Nash, which is fine when you play Corki, right? You QR, you just Valkyrie away, and you're fine, and they're poked. But he got Bard stunned or whatever, I guess. So we are working, obviously, to... Actually, we had a problem when we screamed yesterday that we have some split calls and people don't listen, so it was like this.
You talk a lot about being on H2K now, new team. A lot more talk from you about, playing side lanes, overall macro talk. Is this a big change for you compared to the last 2 years we played on Rocket? Like, do you feel like it's a big change now going into H2K in the way you play and look at the game?
So, especially when we play with Ryu, I feel that I just have really good laners. And I have really strong top lane, really strong AD, and really strong mid lane. And when you have 3 winning lanes, it's just much easier to play, right? And in Rocket, it wasn't that bright. But we are obviously much better team than we are in Rocket, and you can see it by standings, right?
In the end, maybe before we go over to the standings, we saw you at the end there with Jankos going up to Yamato and kind of hugging him and talking about something. What was that about?
Oh, I mean, both me and Jankos were really close with Yamato when we were in Rocket. I think he's a really good coach, and he was my good friend. So it's I mean, I really wanted to beat him, but it sucks. It sucks when he's sad, you know.
Well, do you think he's going to get there with Splyce? Do you see enough elements that are positive and with his guidance?
I mean, they didn't put up much of the fight today, to be honest. Like they didn't try to contest many things. I felt the game was. I don't want to show bad manners or anything, but they didn't fight for the game, I think. So, I think they play still a bit better than the first weeks, and obviously the season just started. So they are a new team. The players are not that experienced, and not as experienced in some teams like us or Origin or Fnatic, for example. So they just need to learn, and they just need some more time. Yeah.
They need some more time, a work in progress. But let's take a look at the standings, because some teams are already absolutely on fire. H2K, of course, is still at the top of the tables, and G2 Esports still 6-1, then followed by Vitality and UWild 5-2, and then Roccat and Giant sadly at the bottom of the tables. Let's touch on G2 Esports. Another big test for them today, another big win for them today. Vander, in general, what do you think of them, and how much potential is still yet to come for that team, because they're already really strong?
I think Origin a bit mispicked against them, at least in my opinion. I thought Origin gonna win today. I think generally about the standings, I think Vitality is a bit too high and Origin is a bit too low. That's how I see those teams. But other than that, I think Gamers2 is really strong. Actually, I underestimated their bot lane a bit before, but I see they play really good. Like today, they played really good. Braum.
Yeah, Braum on Hybrid, actually, a couple of weeks now, he's been able to do fantastic. What's your opinion on him generally as a support? Because he seems to be making a lot of waves recently.
I mean, I think he's pretty good, especially on Braum and on Trash. It's his best champions, I think. And he's not that... he's not creating that much plays like just by his own or with his jungler. So I think they miss a bit jungle support synergy, but he's doing like more with his AD, I feel. Like they play Kalista, they go in together, they bait the TP, and yeah, they play more like on lane, I think.
Yeah, I think they're looking like a very strong team overall. I kind of agree with a lot of what you're saying about G2. About Vitality, we were discussing earlier how it's a very almost similar playstyle as with H2K. They brought out something super different today, though, with that Lucian top lane, which people on Twitter were saying, well, a couple of people are playing it. It was interesting to watch. I like to see Cabochard bring these newer picks out where, you know, you're not quite expecting it and he can just dominate lane. I'd love to see this against a team that are slightly better than perhaps Elements are right now in the standings. I don't think they get away with it.
Well, we play Elements tomorrow, so...
Lucian top confirmed, alright.
I mean, obviously, Gamnak is weak early game and Lucian can bully him, but it's obviously some mistakes from Steve and just snowballed too much, I guess.
But this is a big part of the current meta, right? Because I can see this from the pick and ban phase you guys have in almost every single game. It's almost always focused around having strong lane matchups or strong mid-game matchups so you can play on 3 lanes at once. You guys did it in this game here, you know, the Janna Lucian lane against an Ezreal, can always just bully that one, and then you start moving around and taking down tier 1 towers. Do you feel like that is a correct way to look at the meta right now? It's so focused on having these strong individual champions who can have good matchups? I
mean, in theory, you cannot have always three winning lanes, right? Let's say they were able to counter-pick our support, but they picked Bard, so it wasn't that efficient for them. So they could have maybe not winning matchup, but they could have better lane bot. I think if they picked Thresh or something, it would work much better than Bard. So it just comes down to picks and bans. Obviously, if you can have 3 wing lanes, it's good, but then it means that enemy team just picked wrong.
Yeah, and we see that a few times.
We have, but a right pick seemed to have been Lucian in a top lane, and we did ask the people at home as well what they thought 6.2 would bring to the meta, and at Jera157 tweeted, is there any champion that cannot be played top? Right now, it seems to be that there's a wealth of things to do there.
There's one that we haven't seen yet, Alistair. Which
That
Pulse is a
Pulse
little unhappy about.
I saw it on some streams with the blue ghost item.
It's a solo queue build. And now it's been nerfed even more and more, despite it was never good. You know, we just nerfed the item and Thunderlord, so like Alistar top is dead.
Well, talking about support meta, we also thought that we wouldn't see Tom Kench in a support role that much anymore, and it was picked in the very first game. What do you make of him after the nerfs?
I mean, I think those nerfs touch him more on top lane than support, because on top lane you want those stacks longer, because the top laners, the tanks are fighting for a longer period of time than you fight on bot lane, right? And then the percentage damage also hits top lane more than support. Obviously you want your support to do as much damage as he can, but it's not his main goal. So still, support Tahm Kench can, like you can see, eat and eat your allies, enemies. It's hard to eat enemies, but yeah. Save your allies, slow a bit, and that's your job.
And it's still a flex pick, which is
Yeah.
why Vitality put it as support, because it was all mind games. Like Lucian was locked in, it was supposed to be a Lucian and like a support last pick, and then everything gets changed around. Tahm Kench goes bot, Lucian goes top, and like Elements got completely counterpicked in the laning phase of it to GP versus Lucian, and they didn't know what to do.
What do you make of the Frost Queen's claim nerf? Of course, the cooldown that is up.
I mean, I played with the Frost Queen this game, I think. But in most games, I just upgrade the Sidestone with the blue item. I think it depends really what you want to do. If you want, for example, to rush Locket really fast on your support, then you just build the Sidestone upgrade and you rush the IAGs into Locket, because the active is not really good on this blue item anymore. It's decent, but it's not that very good. You get some AP. So I didn't need to buy Locket this game. They had a lot of AD champions, Poppy, etc. So yeah, I just could upgrade it and go for Locket later.
Well, another thing that was changed is Shen. We also have a tweet from @CallMeArnold said, "I'm curious to see how the LCS scene is going to adapt to Shen's rework, making him more aimed towards tank and damage." There were a lot of tweets that we got in about Shen, and we thought we were going to see him, especially in top lane, but in very different positions. But how come he hasn't been picked up yet?
I mean, I tried him support a few games, but I think he's pretty bad support now. So I think top lane he should be good.
Interesting. I mean, we saw him in Challenger being played.
We did.
Doing okay.
Yeah, it was okay. It was kind of a rough matchup, though, when you look at it. I'm trying to find it in my notes, but it was just one of those games where Shen wasn't the tipping point of the game. Interesting, though, at the beginning of the day, we were talking a lot about top lane, a lot about, some of the minor changes that happen mid lane. We noticed a change in picks and bans meta more than anything now, at how you'll see 1 or 2 AD carry bans, and then blue team seem to just pick up Braum, because Braum seems to do very well into like Misfortune, into Caitlyn. The AD carries that, the Ezreal, the AD carries that aren't Lucian, Corki, and Kalista. Do you think Braum maybe is in a situation where we may see him banned away from games?
I mean, we don't really value Braum as much as you can see, because I didn't play him yet. I think it's decent champion, but it's not something you have to worry about unless someone plays it all the time. So maybe you want to take it away from Hybrid. If Braum is super good player, he'll just block every spell, like Victor, Laser, Ezreal ultimate. So it's really dangerous against those skillshot champions. But he's not. He also works good against Corki, by the way. But it's just good pick. It's not OP, I think.
But in the hands of Hybrid, it did seem to be OP.
It's been pretty good there, yeah.
Yes, it has been. Well, now a reality check for the Fantasy LCS. If you didn't have Trick this week, you're going to have a rough matchup. He picked up 7 kills and 7 assists without dying once, for a total of 26.5 points, leading the league today. Again, I mean, in G2, you can highlight so many players. They just seem to be all working together very well.
You can. I have to give somebody to my left some just desserts, because last week on the LCS, Martin Deficio Lunga made fun of me for apparently going to lose to him in Fantasy LCS.
Did I?
I have the man at the end on my fantasy team, and I crushed you by 80 points last week. 80 points, Mr. Lunga.
Maybe he forgot to sub someone last.
Maybe.
Yeah, I had Ryu in.
No, you didn't.
That's why. Yeah, if I
Ryu,
started some other mid laner who made 80 points, I would have won.
Yeah, I had Perks on my bench before this week also, so not doing well there. In any case, if you bench Trick, your team will have a chance to rebound tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central European Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, as G2 starts the day against Splyce. Elements will face H2K, and then it's the Unicorns of Love versus Vitality for possession of second place. And then, yeah, Elements H2K, looking forward to that one. Of course, you don't want to divulge any strategies, but you guys seem to be on a roll, so.
Finally, we don't play last game. Like, since 3 weeks, I think we are 5th game. But yeah.
Gotta end strong.
I mean, I think Elements is a bit better than Splyce right now, so it should be tough for us. I think Julius was a bit too passive today. I mean, I didn't want to say tough, but harder than today. Yeah, I think Julius was a bit too passive today. I think as Nidalee he could get much more kills overall. So I'm wondering if he will be scared tomorrow as well against Janko.
Seems to be the overall problem for Elements.
I think, yeah,
Way
because
too passive.
in scrims when I played them, they were pretty good actually. And then I see them in LCS, it's like old Rocket, you know?
New Rocket, yeah.
We see this so often though. Like these players are so confident when they're just playing in scrims because it doesn't matter. You can just like FF and then take next game. If you cannot translate that to stage, I mean, as you said yourself, it's the old Rocket, right? Keep hearing praises from scrims, and then we never see it on stage. And that's kind of been Element's problem the last 3 weeks.
Well, we'll see if they can do better tomorrow. And until then, we need to reset the Rift for myself and the entire team covering the European LCS. Thank you for joining us to kick off week 4, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.